is Rose, and this is The Real Truth. Hello to all my returning viewers and to all my beautiful, lovely new viewers. Welcome. Thank you for being part of our family. So, today we are going to be discussing several topics that people have been speculating about in the news. So, let's get down to the truth of the matter. So, first of all, Amber Heard has been babbling about basically threatening an appeal. So, first of all, is it possible for her to appeal? Can she even afford it? More importantly, what would happen in the case that she was actually able to afford it? Whether it is that Elon Musk pays for it, or she, is able to con her quote unquote supporters. What happens during the process of appeal? Is there even a possibility of her winning? What exactly happens? Is it like a new trial or what? We're going to go into all the details. And even more importantly than all of these things is, will Johnny Depp forgive her $8.35 million ruling and actually not pursue payment? This is a very real possibility. And if this is the case, then all the appeals in the world won't matter. And if you ask me, Amber Heard is dumb as rocks. But when it comes to being evil and manipulative, I believe she knows very well what she's doing. So my personal opinion is that this whole threat of appeal is really just a manipulation tactic and a ploy to get Johnny Depp to step back and withdraw his pursuit of payment, which is essentially the ruling that Amber Heard has had against her. And while I understand his desire to actually move forward, unlike what she claims to want to do and will not allow Johnny to do at all, which we have seen with her little girlfriend Eve Barlow attacking Johnny at every turn because he is moving on with his life, going on tour, as is his right to do, and as she should be doing. Isn't this what she has been babbling about the entire case, which of course we know is a complete and utter lie, just like everything else that comes out of her mouth? Her quote unquote desire to move on and pursue her own happiness, and yet here she is, once again, not even 5 minutes after the verdict, dragging Johnny's name through the mud, once again, gaslighting him, blaming him for what she has done, which is basically a mockery and an offense to all the true survivorship community, of which she is not a part. There's one person who is part of that community throughout the entirety of this case, and that person is Johnny Depp and not her. So let's take a look at first what Elaine, her attorney, has been, the lies that she's been spewing about at every possible turn in the media during every interview that she's been able to get. And clearly it had to be her, since their narrative that they're pursuing here is that supposedly Johnny is the one who has been setting back the movement of domestic violence and putting this in the limelight, when in truth he has progressed the movement by leaps and bounds, despite all the damage that she has done in terms of survivors not being believed. I believe that Johnny went through the same thing, and perhaps even worse, being a man. He basically put into the spotlight what most, if not all, survivors go through when they come out with their truth, which is not being believed. And he is in a unique position to do this, because not only is he a survivor of domestic violence as well as narcissistic abuse, but he is also a man. So he is in a unique position to understand the position of most survivors, which are women, who have a very difficult time coming forward, not just because of the guilt, the shame involved in speaking such a dark and difficult truth, but also if you come out towards someone in a position of power, then you are more vulnerable because um, depending on who the person is, or mostly just in general, um, people they prefer not to believe these truths. Like, take Bill Cosby as an example, someone who has been such an icon in popular culture. Um, I myself had a bit of a difficult time um, with just sort of processing it because, someone like him, and depending on who it um, is such a public figure. They have this character, this persona that they have built for so long over time that it's difficult not to see them as that. For example, him as being this wholesome American dad, which is what me and the rest of America saw him as growing up. Um, so in Johnny Depp's case, it wasn't so much that she was a powerful person, but just that she is a woman, and she's the one who has, had initially accused him of abuse. And so he was in the difficult and unique position of not only being a male in the situation, but the actual victim, not just of abuse, but of domestic violence, but of narcissistic abuse. Which, if you have not seen my video "Surviving a Narc," I would definitely recommend checking it out. That really goes much more in depth into not only the signs and symptoms of narcissistic personality disorder, but the phases of narcissistic abuse, which includes much of what we discussed and everything that Johnny went through, and myself as well being a survivor, um, in terms of the phases of it. So from the love bombing phase, where initially you meet this person and they pretend to be or uh, show you in a way that they are this person of your dreams. Everything from that to, as it progresses and you begin to see what they are, the devaluation stage, which all throughout, of course, there's the coercive manipulation, the gaslighting, the mirroring, up to the point of devaluation. Dr. Curry did a very good job of explaining this without going into narcissistic abuse, because that has been removed from the DSM. But that's something I will go in further, apart from the video I already made, in another video. So to focus on the topics at hand, let's look at what Elaine, who, as I said, because of the narrative that they're pursuing, she's the one who went on this promotional tour, her lying rampage, instead of Rotten Balls, because he's a man. So since she had this narrative that she wanted to pursue, then, she sent her as her messenger. So let's take a look at what she's saying with regard to whether Amber Heard will pursue an appeal, or whether she even can. And then I will go into the topic a bit further of what an appeal actually entails. Um, if she even did it, is there any possibility whatsoever of her winning? Hint, hint, I don't think so. And then whether Johnny Depp is even going to bother to pursue payment, which I'll warn you, I think we're going to be a bit disappointed with the answer to that. But Johnny has his own reasons, which I will go into also more in detail. So let's jump right in. These are comments that Lane Rundolph, or whatever her name is, made on the Today Show. And I want to make it clear that regardless of what Elaine or Amber says or doesn't say, this judgment, this ruling, is not something that is easily escapable. It doesn't matter how much she says that she doesn't want to pay it or that she doesn't have money. Even a bankruptcy, even if she files for bankruptcy, this judgment's not going to go away. Johnny is absolutely able to pursue it if he so chooses. It can progress to the point of wage garnishment or forcing the defendant, in this case, to sell her assets, her home, any properties that she has, which she's able to make money off of. The only assets which are protected, I believe, is because of the homestead law, is a property in which she is living. So somewhere that she needs to live, because otherwise she would essentially be homeless. But if it's not going that far, everything else is fair game. So bankruptcy, her, lying, or her testimony, whatever, that she is broke or doesn't have money, that's not going to get her out of this. So Just wanted to make that part clear in terms of legality. So these are the comments that she made during an interview with the Today Show, in which she reports that she plans to appeal, but didn't speak about her financial options if she's obligated to make the payments in the meantime, because she should be, and I hope Johnny makes her.
This is a setback for all women in and outside the courtroom, and well, no. Here is it's a tale of two trials. Johnny Depp brought a suit in the UK for the same case, and the burden of proof was easier for him there. The son had to actually prove that it was true, and the court found there, and we weren't allowed to tell the jury this, but the court found that Mr. Depp had committed at least to actually prove that it was true, and the court found there, and we weren't allowed to tell the jury this, but the court found that Mr. Depp had committed at least 12 acts of domestic violence, including sexual violence, against Amber.
So I believe that
including
Johnny
sexual violence against Amber. So what?
I believe that Johnny should be able to pursue defamation charges again, simply for these lies and allegations that Elaine is spreading all over the place, regardless of whatever narrative she wants to tell. She's defaming him once again. First of all, for those of you who have already seen my exposing Elon Musk video about the UK trial, not just about his unethical ties to the judge as well as the Sun newspaper, but Judge Nichols, who was the judge who presided over the case, and his unethical ties, not only to the Sun, but to Elon Musk and Amber Heard himself. So just as a follow-up to that, it is also pretty clear that Judge Nichols and his wife also had very close ties to Amber Heard, given that they all went to dinner the week of the trial, as well as Judge Nichols' wife having close ties to not only Amber's attorney, but their close association, given that she chairs the women's rights organization or whatever that Amber was a spokesperson for. So if you haven't seen that, make sure right after this, or just pause it right now, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, and then make sure you go back and watch that Elon Musk video so you understand why everything she's alleging here is a complete lie. And to be clear, regardless of how unethical and biased and just unspeakably unjust that case was, Injustice Nichols is one of my awesome viewers rightfully called him. They didn't determine that 12 of these incidents were true or that they happened. The judge, as is his role, supposedly in a case, admitted 12 of these alleged assaults, which we all know didn't happen, as evidence in the case. That doesn't mean that they proved that the 12 incidents happened. I mean, everything she's saying right now is more slander and more defamation. And he should now sue Amber again, because just as she won $2 million, because supposedly his publicist made statements which were categorically and factually consistent and true, and she won for that, then he should be able to win again for these lies. And if she doesn't want to pay, then maybe she will learn her lesson to shut her mouth and stop defaming him and saying lies, spewing lie after lie. Now Elaine is evolved, and he should sue her as well.
What did Depp's team learn from this? Demonize Amber and suppress the evidence. We had an enormous amount of evidence that was suppressed in this case that was in the UK case. In the UK case, when it came in, Amber won, Mr. Depp lost.
But here's the thing. You were able to get some evidence that you say demonstrated abuse. You certainly had her testimony. There were pictures, documents, all kinds of evidence. But in point of fact, the jury rejected it. You argued in your closing arguments that if they found even one instance of abuse, and it did not even have to be physical abuse, that they would have to find for Amber Heard, and they didn't.
And the other part,
I really don't want to hear these lies. I just want to hear if she's gonna sue or appeal or what. I mean, not sue.
Significant appeal. Because they showed a pattern going all the way back to 2012 of Amber reporting this to her therapist, for example.
All the way going back to 2012.
Didn't hear. Listening to Amber Heard, did not believe a single word.
You know, and that's because she was demonized here. A number of things were allowed in this court that should not have been allowed.
Yeah, like actual evidence.
Incredibly lopsided and vitriolic against Amber Heard.
Wow.
Do you think that had...
The families are on social media. We had a 10-day break in the middle. of this, but it made it a zoo.
Does your client want to appeal?
Yeah,
Oh,
like her
absolutely.
girlfriend
And she
who
has
was
some
tweeting
excellent
in the
grounds
front
for
seat.
it.
Like,
We
what are you
even
talking
had tried
about?
to get the UK judgment in to dismiss his case because he already had his shot.
Yeah, and
And
we
that's
are,
one of the issues,
by
but
the way,
also a number of the evidentiary issues. There was so much evidence that did not come in.
Is she able to pay a $10.4 million judgment?
Oh, no, absolutely not.
oh,
Finally,
absolutely not.
in closing arguments, Amber's
As if
team
it's
argued
absurd
that
that
this
she
would
should
send a message.
be made to
That it
pay.
would send a message that no matter what you do as an abuse victim, you always have to do more. You need to be perfect in order for people to believe you if she did not get a favorable verdict. What message do you think this sends?
It's a horrible message. It's, as
To
I
who?
said,
To
a
the liars?
setback. It's
Yeah.
a significant
To the
setback
liars.
because that's exactly what it
Liars
means.
like Amber,
Unless
not
you
survivors.
pull out your phone and you video your spouse or your significant other
Yeah,
beating
sleeping
you,
all the time.
effectively, you won't be believed.
Elaine
No,
Charles and
especially
Brett
if
Hoff,
he's
thank you
sleeping
very
all the
much for your
time,
time
because
this
it's
morning.
just
Appreciate
no.
Thank
it.
you.
How disgusting is her reaction? And Amber just, they are so disgusting. Oh, absolutely not. As if it's absurd. As if it's ridiculous to even suggest that Amber should be held accountable for the lawsuit, for the frivolous lawsuit, which she not only pursued, but actively participated in the destruction and defamation of this man's life. But it's so clear, I think, because of how gentle and sweet and amazing Johnny is. Again, if you have not heard the full audio that I have in my video list, you need to watch that right after this, because that really paints such a clear picture of this man. You know, some people say, oh, well, they were both toxic, they were both abusive. Just listen to the 30-minute conversation. This man is not only not abusive, he is a saint. A saint. Because I'm telling you right now, had I been around a person like this, she was part of my family or something like that, I'm a calm person. I'm not a violent person. I don't believe in physical violence. I don't believe in putting your hands on someone regardless of how upset they make you. But listen to this conversation, and I promise you, there's not a normal person on the face of this earth who wouldn't consider that they might explode. And this is just a 30-minute conversation. I would never be able to stand even those 30 minutes, let alone any amount of time in the company of this woman without exploding. And particularly when she goes off the rails in her craziness, like in that conversation where she's laughing hysterically and making fun of him and, you know, putting him down, you bug. Like, just listening to her, it makes my blood boil. You know, there's people that I disagree with, people that I dislike in the world, but there are not many people like Amber Heard that when I see her face, watching her throughout the trial, like a robot, trying to mimic and emulate what she imagines human beings behave like. This was her. Like, it made me so angry. You understand what I mean. I don't know if I can say it, but I don't think anybody's ever, just their face and it's like her shamelessness, her energy of malice and lies, and just, she's shameless. It's just so disgusting. She's such a disgusting person. And for those of you who are interested, I am working on several other videos, but one of there's two of them. One is an upcoming one about Elon Musk, exposing more about him and his failed coup in Bolivia to overthrow governments. So his soiree into international politics, or failed. As well as another video called Making a Monster. And that is about the life of Amber Heard and what exactly happened. Something had to have happened to create the monster that she is. And that is what we are going to be looking at in depth. So, for all of you who asked for that, watch out. And now let's look. So, as she said, she claims that she's going to pursue an appeal. Now, she needs a bond in the entirety of the judgment. She needs a bond for $8.35 million before the appeal can even start. She's claiming that she doesn't have money to pay Johnny Depp. Then the court should determine that she shouldn't be allowed to even post this bond if it's possible for her to get the money or borrow it somehow. She shouldn't be allowed to do that. She should have to use that money to pay Johnny. Now, what happens if she did appeal? Like, first of all, what happens in an appeal? An appeal is not like a full-fledged court case. They don't do the case again. An appeal is simply when an appellate court, which is just basically a supervisory board, reviews the case and determines whether anything extremely against the law happened, unless they were able to find some overwhelming evidence of misconduct, which I am a little bit worried because I feel like they are, from what Elaine is saying, it sounds like they're trying to find some issue with the jury potentially, having looked at social media or something like that. Like, it sounds like they're trying to find some technicality. So that part worries me a little bit. But other than that, unless there was some huge miscarriage of justice, then that's really what the court is looking for. They are not reviewing the case again. The evidence has been reviewed. The jury has made their verdict. And so unless there was some gross miscarriage of justice, some gross incompetence, something completely illegal, then the appellate court is not going to rule in her favor. It is going to be upheld, and there is no point except for her to waste more time. Now, the reason she's trying to do this, she is a manipulative, conniving person. Now, again, she is dumb as rocks, but people that are dumb as rocks who are evil, sometimes they're pretty good at the evil things that they do, at least to some extent. So I think it's pretty clear in this case that her pursuit of this appeal is in an effort to try to get Johnny to either forgive the debt or to not pursue the payment. And I think it's working, unfortunately. I know Johnny said repeatedly it wasn't about the money, but honestly, it's really upsetting to me because I think that Amber needs to learn a lesson. And since she has no feelings like a normal human being, then you gotta hit her where it hurts, and that's only in the pockets. Because all she cares about is money. So, and she used to care about status, but since she has none anymore, she has none of that left. She's the most hated woman in America. She has no credibility. She has no acting skills. Even her looks are gone. Sorry, but these last 6 years, she's really gone downhill. I usually don't comment on people's appearance, but the reason I'm mentioning it is because I believe like the hate inside has rotted, like she's rotten inside, and it's just rotting her outsides. She wasn't able to maintain the looks that she had, which sadly, that's all that she has ever had. And that's where she based her self-esteem on, because clearly if she based it on the inside, then my goodness, it's like a picture of Dorian Gray. She's just rotten inside, and now she's rotting on the outside. So I believe this has all been a ruse, a manipulation tactic to get Johnny to withdraw pursuit of payment. I believe that Johnny probably feels bad for her, and as he always said, it wasn't about the money, it was about getting his life back and his dignity back and his credibility, really. But let's hear what his side has to say, unfortunately, and yeah, we'll go from there. Were Johnny's attorneys, as it says there, hints that it's possible they might not pursue payment. I don't know if it was taken offline, maybe because his attorneys decided that it's not a good legal tactic to put it out there, but I mean, I'm sure her side would have seen it already. But in any case, it's a very short clip, and all it says is the following.
Heard's lawyers say she plans to appeal the verdict. She doesn't have the money to pay for the judgment, and you all have said that the goal is not to impoverish Ms. Heard. Is it possible where we could see a settlement where she foregoes the appeal in return for Mr. Depp waiving any monetary damages?
Well, George, we obviously can't disclose attorney-client communications, but as Mr. Depp testified, and as we both made clear in our respective closings, this was never about money for Mr. Depp. So this was about restoring his reputation, and he's done that.
So you're not disclosing any privileges, but it sounds like that's something that could be on the table, but it's up to Ms. Heard?
Again, we have to be careful what we say, but this was about Mr. Depp's reputation. That was what it was about for him.
So I think they've made it pretty clear. I really hope that's not the case. It would be devastating, I think, to all of us. I mean, maybe he believes that karma will reap its own justice, and maybe I agree with him, because I wholeheartedly believe that she might very well be facing libel charges, not only abroad in Australia for the dog incident. For those who don't know what happened, she had smuggled her 2 Yorkies into Australia, which has very strict laws about that because of their protected ecosystem. And then she tried to blame it on her assistant, the one that she abused. And then she tried to get another assistant to accuse her, and he refused. And then she threatened to fire him. And so at the end of the day, she's still facing perjury charges there. I don't know if I said libel, so that was wrong. I mean, perjury charges. She's facing them in Australia. And the FBI is looking into it. And I wholeheartedly also believe that she will be facing libel charges here as well. And I'm working on a video exactly about that. So for those who haven't yet, make sure you hit the subscribe button. And make sure you check out the Elon Musk video. For those who have already seen it, you can be on the lookout for some incredibly eye-opening videos about him. For the couple of viewers who were still not 100% convinced by my Elon Musk video, who still thought that it's possible that Amber has manipulated him the same way she manipulated Johnny and all the other men, trust me, that is not the case. Make sure you hit the bell because you don't want to miss the next video. If I didn't convince you with the last one, trust me, you'll be convinced with the next one. So, until then, see you on the other side. And remember, what happens in the dark will always come to the light. Until next time.